Hey, Francesca, thanks for your work in week two. Hope you're doing okay. Say hi to Preston. Love what you're saying here in the second forum. I just want to send you a quick video reply. But just kind of seeing that Paul is not concerned with sort of sin in some abstract sense of the human, but the injustice of the human as something that keeps us from being judges of one another, that we can't rule over each other without hypocrisy. And this is key to clarifying faith, as I think you point out, as the alternative. Instead of organizing our communities, you might think even our own psychology, our society, along the lines of some ruling over others. We want to live by faith. We want to trust God's judgment. We want to um, recognize that where there is injustice, it's a call for solidarity with each other. It calls for a certain identification, even with the unjust, so that the way forward won't be a matter of kind of building some ideal at the expense of people that we scapegoat, but negotiating a shared inheritance and a shared future that's based on kind of facing our difficulties and burdens, disparate though they may be, together, um, recognizing our investment in one another rather than pretending that God's law or something else about God's revelation authorizes some of us to be the rulers over others. So, good work in teasing that out. You said something cool here in the first forum. I think it's about you're delving into Johnson Hodge and Kimber Well. I love that article. Um, but they're really exposing something that I think resonates, if I remember right, with some of what you said in your intro video you've brought as kind of an interest to this class. And that is the tendency of what we might call imperial theology to assume a universal kind of position, a position that can define everyone, that kind of speaks from above everyone. And that, I think, is what Kimberwell and Johnson Hodge are warning us against, and pointing out that that has been the standard way that Romans has been interpreted, as if it gave us a kind of neat, formulaic, universal picture of the human whereby some who are the righteous can rule over the others who are unrighteous. And one of the ways this has happened recently is in the claim to a gospel that is like ethnically neutral or something that's universal so that cultural particulars are secondary. And they point out that this isn't actually true to Paul, where all kinds of Jewish particulars are primary to who Jesus is, to who Paul is, therefore, and to who even these Gentiles are being shaped to be. They're being formed variously by Jewish commitments, ethnically Jewish commitments, we should say. So the upshot of this, for the kind of interest you have, and I think that others of us have in various ways, is that the the ethnic particulars that we embody are actually integral to God's revelation to us, in us, and through us. And we're not trying to minimize those or marginalize those or regard those as neutral. We're trying to recognize how God has embraced and shaped those to make us who we are. And this, I think, will also enable us to um, speak theologically, you might say, in a way that is more cognizant of the limits from which we speak, how we've been shaped and how we're always speaking from a particular place. It doesn't mean we don't have anything to say to others, or even to the whole world, but it's always going to be something that is shaped by the particulars that have made us who we are. And we're not going to try to minimize those or deny them. We're going to try to sort of own them and treat them as sort of part of who we are. So I hope that that does is encourage an interpretation of Paul, a learning of Paul's gospel that encourages people to see the particular places that they come from, who they are culturally, ethnically, etc., as basic to the gospel, as part of their embodiment, and therefore who God has embraced in God's self-disclosure. And that means then that we're all Christians of an enormous spectrum of backgrounds, opening ourselves to the influences of one another, the Jewish influences of Jesus, the Jewishness of God, we might say, that is not some kind of hermetically sealed opponent to us, but an open presence, an open reality that can sort of coalesce with who we are, so that together we become something that is more than we can define, more than we can even imagine. So hope that's a helpful way to keep developing that insight that you've got there in Forum 1 from Kimber Buell and Johnson Hodge. And look forward to seeing more of you in week 3. Don't know if you saw, there are live Zoom discussion groups. And if any of those times work for you, hope you'll be able to join. If not, no problem. You can keep doing the asynchronous route. So thanks for your work in week 2.